I found this random matchbook from a New York City bar in an antique store and tracked down the history dating all the way back to the 1800s. The story starts in 1870 when a man named Michael Condren opened up this bar called Billy's Bar at 56th and 1st in Manhattan. Here's a look at that intersection in the modern day. Billy's quickly became a hotspot for New York City immigrants who were looking to grab a pint or a many after their long days at the slaughterhouses and factories along the East River. It was nestled next to a giant brewery which kept the bar stocked until Prohibition hit in 1920. Fast forward to the mid 1930s and Prohibition's over and Billy's is absolutely poppin'. Here's some photos from 1935 and they are absolutely incredible. One thing to note is there are no bar stools at the bar, which is actually very common for the time period. People at the time would normally stand when they would drink, so this was a little brass rail that would be at the bottom that they could rest their foot on after a long day of work. You can see that rail actually right here. By the time these photos were taken in 1935, the bar had already been around for over 60 years. The original owner's son took over Billy's, but was dead set on keeping things exactly like they once were, which meant these gaslit lanterns were here to stay. This was extremely uncommon for bars at this time period because almost everybody had electricity at this point, making Billy's the last remaining gaslit bar in New York City. Check out this article from 1935. The owner said that he would turn up and down the lights and wait for the "I'll be darned." But that wasn't the only old school piece of Billy's still intact from the 1800s. Check out these old school English style beer hand pumps. At this point, bars were long onto the pressurized keg and kind of left these hand pumps in the past, but Billy's was really committed to keeping that old school vibe. I love it. From 1935 on, there aren't too many photos of the bar in existence. However, it was featured in the 1950 film Taxi. And in 1967, Billy's was knocked down by the Great Wrecking Ball. Luckily though, this isn't the end of Billy's. In fact, a whole new chapter had just started. The bar was immediately rebuilt 3 blocks down and its customers were very excited. As you can see in this article, I can't wait to get lit at the new Billy's Gaslight Bar. I think that's such a funny play on words, especially because I didn't realize people said get lit back in the 1960s. In this new location, they actually had bar stools, which was a common practice after the 1930s, after Prohibition. The reason being with these new sensitivities on drinking, they didn't want people standing around in the bar all day. They wanted them to sit and actually have a meal and make it less of a drinking occasion and more of a dining experience. Now, Billy stayed in this location until 2004. While the gaslit lanterns did get removed, most things stayed the same. An article from the 90s said that everything had basically been the same, from the menu to being greeted with a hug by the hostess, to it still being a family business with the great grandkids now running the bar. But in particular, it's noted that the same giant mahogany bar top was still in use at the bar when it closed down in 2004. 134 years later. Apparently the bar turned into this French restaurant called Jubilee, and while it hasn't been confirmed, a lot of people believe that this bar top looks eerily similar to the one in Billy's. I don't know what the future holds for this place, but we gotta get that bar top out of there. If someone could do some research on this, I would really appreciate it. At this point, it's a crucial relic of New York City bar history. Thank you so much for watching. Follow along for more of this History of Matchbook series.